All right, today's lesson is on evaluating expressions. Before we get started, I do want to remind you that you should have different colored pens and a piece of paper to take notes on if you don't have my guided notes page. Also, my recommendation is as you're watching this video, as I'm explaining the slide, wait until I get all the way to the bottom of the slide and finish my explanation, and then you can pause your computer and copy down the information. Oftentimes what happens is students are trying to copy down as the explanation is happening, and you just lose a little bit when you are trying to write and listen at the same time. So it's really, really important to listen to the explanation and then pause the computer and then copy down the notes so that you can use them later. All right, let's get started. So evaluating expressions. The first thing, I think the most important thing is that math is a language. So when you hear evaluating expressions, if you don't know what it means to evaluate, or you don't know what an expression is, you're going to struggle. So let's define those words. An expression is a math phrase that includes variables, which are known as letters, numbers, and symbols, adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing. When we evaluate something, what we're going to do is we're going to substitute a given value in for a variable and simplify the expression. When it says simplify the expression, that really means we're going to do the order of operations. And we're going to get the answer down to one number. So let's get started and let's do an example. So our first example says evaluate the expression b squared minus 4ac if a equals 2, b equals 5, and c equals 3. Okay, so what we're going to do is b squared, instead of b squared, we're going to say 5 squared. And then minus 4ac, well, when we have a number directly next to a variable, directly next to another variable, it means that 4 is going to be multiplied by a, which is 2, which is going to be multiplied by c, which is 3. And this is how you would write it out. So it would be b squared minus 4ac, which would turn into 5 squared, because b equals 5. A is 2, c is 3, so 4 times 2 times 3. And you put these numbers in parentheses. That shows that we are going to multiply them together. And now we're going to simplify this. So 5 squared would be 5 times 5, which is 25. 4 times 2 is 8, times 3 is 24. And we always want to do our order of operations. So it would be exponents here. 5 squared gets us 25. Then 4 times 2 times 3 would give us 24. And then our last step in order of operations is going to be subtracting, right? GEMDAS or PEMDAS, depending on how you've learned it. So 25 minus 24 is 1. And that is what evaluating expressions are all about. Let's go over a few more examples. In these examples, you see that we have 5 different examples here. It says evaluate each expression for m equals 3, t equals 5, and x equals 10. So in our first one, we have 5m plus x. Right, so we're going to substitute for the m, we're going to substitute a 3. For the x, we're going to substitute a 10. When we plug them in, it should look like this. Our order of operations tells us to do multiplication before our addition. So 5 times 3 would be 15 plus 10, and then we can simplify 15 plus 10 is 25. And our answer would be 25. In the second example, if you want to, pause your computer and see if you can figure out what the answer is. And once you're done with that, hit start again and see if you're right. So in this one, now that you're back, 2x would be 2 times 10 plus 2t would be 2 times 5. So we're going to write it in like this. We're going to do our multiplication first. 2 times 10 is 20. 2 times 5 is 10. So 20 plus 10 would be 30. In the third example, mt, when you have 2 variables next to each other, it just means you're multiplying. So this one would be 3 times 5. And that answer would be 15. Again, if you want to, try and pause your computer and see what you get for our fourth example here. This is one of a more challenging one. It's got more than just a couple of steps in it. Okay, so now that you're back, x is 10, so it will be 10 divided by t, which is 10 divided by 5 plus 4 times 3. 10 divided by 5 plus 4 times 3. Well, again, order of operations tells us that we're going to do our multiplication, 4 times 3, and our division, 10 divided by 5, at the same time. So 10 divided by 5 is 2. 4 times 3 is 12. So 2 plus 12 would be 14. And then the last one we have down here in the bottom is 10m divided by t plus 2x. Again, if you want to pause your computer and see if you can get it, I think that's a great idea. When we substitute it in, we get 10 times 3 divided by 5 plus 2 times 10. So we're going to do our multiplication. 10 times 3 is 30. 2 times 10 is 20. And I know this is a little bit challenging. I think that's, oops, I didn't want to do that. There we go. That's in the way a little bit. Here we go. Let's go back here. So 30, we have to do our division. 30 divided by 5 is 6. 6 plus 20 would be 26. And there we go. And that's how you do evaluating expressions. On the next screen, here we go. I want you to try these 5 problems, and it says evaluate each expression for x equals 4, y equals 6, and z equals 20. So again, just what we did on the last one, these will be 5 more practice problems that I want you to complete and then bring them in either into class tomorrow, or we'll have an online assignment depending on what I decide to give for you. Okay, have a great day, and I hope this lesson has explained evaluating expressions for you. If you have any questions, I would strongly recommend that you go back and watch it again, maybe a couple more times to get a better understanding. If you're still struggling, then reach out to either myself or go watch another video on evaluating expressions. Have a great day.